Have you or anyone you know been a victim of domestic violence? If so, did you feel alone? I know I did. Did you know that 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence at some point in their life? Domestic violence is defined as violent or aggressive behavior in the home. Domestic violence is much more common than people think. Statistics show that women are more likely to become victims. Although this may be true, domestic violence can affect any person regardless of their race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or financial status. It's important that more people are aware of what domestic violence is and how it is defined by the law. The definition given to domestic violence is any aggressive or violent behavior in the home. The National Coalition Against Domestic Violence explains that laws on domestic violence do not always match the exact definition. Some states describe domestic violence as any violence between partners in a relationship. This means that the violence does not necessarily have to take place in the home, and said partners do not have to live together in order for it to be considered domestic violence. Other states, however, exclude same-sex relationships from their laws. You may wonder, how common can domestic violence really be? The NCADV website says that it's estimated 1.3 million women are victims of domestic violence annually. Victims are most times victimized by a person they know and trust. Along with physical abuse often comes other forms of abuse. Sexual assault, stalking, and emotional abuse, just to name a few. The NCADV says 1 in 6 women and 1 in 33 men experience an attempted or completed sexual assault in their lifetime. To put that simpler, sexual assault occurs in 40 to 45% of domestic violence cases. Let's not forget that in some cases, children are present and witness the domestic violence. Statistics say that 30 to 60% of abusers also abuse children in the home. Boys who witness domestic violence are also 2 times more likely to abuse their partner or children as an adult. The NCADV and domesticviolence.org are in agreement that domestic violence can lead to homicide. In 70 to 80% of homicides where one partner was killed, the woman was abused before the murder took place. 1/3 of female victims of homicide are victims of domestic violence that have been murdered by their partner. So how do you know how to spot domestic violence or prevent it before it starts? The National Network to End Domestic Violence says there are signs that can help you spot a potential abuser. If you or someone you know is with a partner who insists on rushing into a relationship, moving too quickly, or does not honor boundaries, you could be dealing with a potential abuser. An abuser may try to block out family and friends of their partner, or get jealous when their partner spends time with people other than them. Knowing a partner's background is also very important. Abusers often grew up in abusive homes. The thing to remember is domestic violence is a serious issue. It can happen to any person at any time, but there is help available. Hope House is an organization that has 2 separate locations, one in Independence, Missouri, and another in Lee Summit. Hope House was established in 1983 as a refuge for women and children who were victims. Between the 2 locations, 122 women and children can find refuge. New House is another safe haven for victims of domestic violence, also located in the Kansas City area. New House has been helping victims of domestic violence for 42 years. These shelters, and many like them across the United States, offer a safe place for victims to go, provide counseling, legal representation, and many other services. If a shelter is not ideal for a victim, law enforcement and abuse hotlines work around the clock as well. Although help is available, the NCADV says domestic violence is one of the most underreported crimes to date. Only 20% of 1.5 million victims obtain a protection order per year. 1 out of 4 assault victims and 1 out of 5 rape victims file police reports. It is not uncommon for protection orders to be broken by the victim themselves. Now we know that domestic violence is any violent behavior taking place in the home or between 2 partners. Domestic violence is more common than we think. Even though women are statistically the greatest risk for becoming a victim, any person can become a victim of domestic violence at any given time. If you or someone you know is or becomes a victim of domestic violence, know that you are not alone. It is not your fault, and you can get help.